Welcome to another Mysterious Creatures video. This time we visit the Philippines to see what strange and incredible mystery creatures have shown themselves. From a shark with a mouth so big it could swallow you whole, to a fish that's nearly impossible to believe, we take a look at 5 most mysterious creatures caught in the Philippines. Before we begin, make sure you hit that subscribe button to get notified every day for more amazing content. With that being said, let's begin. Number 5. Mysterious sea creatures. The question remains, are sea monsters real? So many strange things end up being caught on camera of monsters in lakes, oceans, and seas seen all over the world. Most of the times, these things can be identified and they end up being a badly decomposed whale, but sometimes, some things wash up on beaches and shores that not only can't be identified, but end up shocking the locals as they try to figure out exactly what it is they're seeing. This is what happened when a gigantic 32-foot-long beast was discovered floating around in the shallow water on Leyte Island in the Philippines. The creature was indeed quite scary looking, and people passing by on the beach were surprised because it was so big and none of them had ever seen this kind of creature before. The onlookers said that the creature was really big and the smell was terrible, as you might imagine, but something that couldn't be described. The problem was not only could the scary creature not be identified because of its deteriorated condition, but there was nowhere to bury the creature, which was quickly becoming a health hazard. Something had to be done. So the 10-meter-long monster was dragged back out into the deeper waters of the sea where it came from. When it came down to identifying it, no one was able to say for certain. But this wasn't the first time something bizarre washed up on the beach. The remains of another large unidentified sea creature were found one day by local residents who were shocked and terrified at the sight of something they'd never seen before. This unknown creature was 20 feet long and 6.5 feet wide. The horrifying remains were white in color and it seemed to be covered in white hair, which some say resembled an Old English sheepdog. Many of the locals believed that the creature washing up on the beach was a sign of a bad omen or some warning of a catastrophe. As scary as it was, and leaving people with many questions, a sample was taken showing that it was most likely a whale in an advanced state of decomposition. The interesting thing about this finding is that the bones of the creature are being preserved as a memento of the rare event. Number 4. Duende. There's a story of a creature that lives in the Filipino forests which are called the duende. These dwarf-like creatures can live in holes in the ground or in the trees. They're mischievous creatures, and the chances of finding an evil one are much more likely than finding a good one. They most likely inhabit dense forests with a lot of trees where they can hide away from human eyes. It's said that these creatures can appear for 1 hour during the day at noon, but they become more prominent at night. The legend of this creature states that if you cross its path, you must say "Tabi-tabi po nuno," which means pardon or excuse me, little people. If you do not do this, they can cast a bad spell on you. Of course, it does depend on the duende that you come across. Some of them are nice and some are evil, and if you do cross an evil one, they can cast a lot of bad things on you, including making warts appear on your body, making you ugly and hideous. But do these creatures really exist? There's a story of a young man who went with his father on a trip to visit his sister. The boy's aunt had 3 children and was very excited to see their cousin. After a while, the children all decided to go outside and play. The boy's aunt lived out in the woods, so they all decided to play a game of hide and seek. One of the cousins decided to be the seeker while everyone hid. The boy wanted to find a good place where his cousin wouldn't be able to find him. He ended up finding a really large tree that seemed to him to be at least 100 years old or more. Around the base of the tree, the boy had found a hole which was big enough to hide in. At the time, the boy didn't think anything of the duende which his elders had told and warned him about. He'd forgotten the warning and didn't say what he was supposed to say and hid a long time in the tree. It was the perfect hiding spot, as his cousin never found him. After hiding a very long time, he left the hole in the tree and returned to his aunt's house where he found his cousins waiting, who said they gave up looking after not finding him. It was evening before dinner, and the boy started to not feel well. The boy became very sick, like he had a fever. The boy went into a coma for 3 days as the family tried to figure out what happened. That is when they asked the boys what they had done. When they told about playing hide and seek and not being able to find him, the father and his sister knew that the boy had become a victim of an evil duende. The boy was then taken to a witch doctor who knew the moment that they brought the child into the house that there was something evil in his presence. The boy and his family ended up going back to the tree and taking some fruit as an offering. The boy was very ill, so his family had to carry him to the tree and spoke the words Tabi Tabi Ponuno along with the offering. The boy became better the next day, waking up without knowing what had happened. So, does this creature exist? Number 3, Megamouth Shark. There are many different kinds of superstitions when it comes to animals. When it comes to the Megamouth Shark, it would seem that it's seen as an omen of bad luck. It could be because the shark is so rare that the last time anyone saw one was back in 1976, and out of all documented sightings, only 60 of them were confirmed. So, what is a megamouth shark? It's a very large shark that's been known to grow to 17 feet long and can live to be 100 years old. It's a deep-sea creature that's only been seen in Taiwan, the Philippines, and Japan. The megamouth is not usually seen because it has a huge mouth that it opens while it scours the seabed for smaller prey which it captures in its jaws and massive mouth. In February 2018, a megamouth shark washed up on a shore in a remote village in the Philippines, which caused the villagers to fear that Armageddon was on the way and the destruction of the world was imminent. The locals spotted the super rare 15-foot megamouth shark on the beach in Negros Oriental. Because there have only been a few sightings of this extremely rare species of shark in the world, the superstitious locals believe that a dead creature, when it washes up on the shore of the beach, is a sign of impending doom. One local said that it's very bad luck and that there was a sense that something very bad was about to happen. Many others said that a big disaster would be coming and started to prepare for it. Fishermen then went to the shallow water where the shark was floating and hauled it back onto the shore. The creature was not alive. It seems that some of the people tried to save it, but it was injured from fishing nets. Many of the people were quite frightened by the creature. The reason for this is because dead fish have washed up on beaches just hours before many previous natural disasters. There might actually be some truth to this superstition. The Japanese believe that seeing an oarfish is an omen for a tsunami or a big earthquake. And just before the 2011 earthquake and tsunami, 20 oarfish showed up on the beaches in the area. Number 2, Giant Shipworm. If you aren't into creepy or slimy creatures, then this one might give you the creeps for sure. Just the sound of the name Giant Shipworm sounds ominous enough. The horrifying creature actually exists and was found by a team of marine scientists on an island in the Philippines. It's a rare creature that's been known to exist for at least 200 years, but only because of fossil evidence. No one had ever seen a living giant shipworm until this team caught one. But here's the odd thing. This creature isn't actually a worm. They're part of the bivalve family, which is the same as clams and mussels. The giant shipworm can reach up to 5 feet in length and be 2.3 inches in diameter. This makes it the longest known living bivalve. The creature spends most of its life inside of a hard shell which is made of calcium carbonate. It actually secretes the shell by creating a special substance. Once this strange and alien creature has built its shell, it buries its head down into the mud and then begins feeding on marine settlement. Its head is also protected by some hard shell that it also secretes. The odd thing about this creature is that if it grows or it needs to burrow down deeper into the mud, it can absorb its shell and then secrete it again. And you're probably thinking that this is the strangest it gets. Well, think again. The creature doesn't eat like a normal worm. In fact, it barely eats at all. There are other types of shipworms that feed directly off of rotting wood which is washed into the ocean, but not the giant shipworm. It instead uses bacteria in its gills that turn hydrogen sulfide from the water into an energy source, which transforms carbon dioxide into nutrients. The giant shipworm lives and thrives in places that would be noxious for most life forms, and if you were gonna put together an alien creatures list, this one should be on that list. Number 1, Tattooed Fish. This is something that's boggled the imagination since it happened in May 2017. Some fishermen caught a huge fish which looked as though it was covered in tattoos. As bizarre as that may sound, this really did happen, and the fisherman who caught it photographed the fish next to a regular plain-looking fish that was caught the same day to show the remarkable difference. Photographs of the tattooed fish ended up online, and thousands of comments from people came in trying to figure out why the fish looked as though it had tattoos. Some people say the fish was tattooed by someone and then thrown back into the water, but if you think about that, it's as absurd as finding the tattooed fish itself. Other people think that this fish, which was caught in the province of Lopez Llana Misami Occidental, might actually be the reincarnation of a god, and have some kind of mystical connection. A more rational explanation is that something ended up being attached to the fish and left its imprint on the fish's body. That's still stretching things out a little, as it would have to be tightly attached to the fish's body for quite some time. It's a mystery that remains unsolved. Maybe you, our viewers, might be able to figure this one out. Let us know what you think in the comments. Hope you enjoyed the video, Top 5ers. If you haven't already, check out our other channel, Americano, to enjoy even more amazing list videos. There'll be a link in the description, so check it out, as well as our other cool stuff